Belal Muhammad is out of his UFC 310 main event title fight with Shavkat Rakhmonov on December 7th. The UFC are actively looking for a replacement for their final pay-per-view card of the year. Irony is that Belal was eyeing a Dricus du Plessis super fight, and just yesterday he was calling 185 for bums. I just wish now he vacates the belt just like Garry Prochazka and then never wins it again, just like Garry Prochazka. His opponent Shavkat Rakhmonov reacts to this news with claws, wishing Belal a quick recovery and hoping to fight him when he is back at 100%. He said he is open to take on any contender for the interim title at UFC 310. In response to Shavkat's comments, Garry calls for the undefeated versus undefeated title fight for that interim bout, while former champ Kamaru Usman also put his name in the hat by sharing these emojis. UFC 310 co-headliner Alexander Pantoja immediately gave his reaction to the situation, delusionally believing he's the main event for right now because all MMA fans want to see him taking that spot. He may get his heart broken, as Alex Pereira commented telephone emoji below a post regarding Belal Muhammad's withdrawal from UFC 310, which means call me. Magomed Ankalaev also tweeted the same, responding to Alex Pereira's Instagram comment, indicating that he also doesn't have any problem taking the UFC 310 main event spot. After all these events, Alex Pereira's team told Ariel Helwani they have multiple trips booked and plan to fulfill those trips. Helwani says he had been surprised if Pereira stepped in on December 7th. By the way, if Pereira takes on Ankalaev at UFC 310 and beats him, he takes Fighter of the Year back from Topuria. Du Plessis, by the way, wants Khamzat Chimaev next rather than the Sean Strickland rematch. He says he always believed that if something exceptional happened in the Whittaker vs Khamzat at UFC 308, then it could affect his potential rematch with Sean Strickland next. He says the Khamzat matchup gets him more excited than a Strickland rematch because he wants to be the one to take Chimaev's undefeated record. He also believes defeating Khamzat Chimaev is part of his plan to become a UFC double champion. The guy Khamzat beat at UFC 308, Robert Whittaker, has now received a call-out from Caio Borralho. Borralho says that if Israel Adesanya is not available at UFC 312 in Sydney, then he hopes Whittaker recovers in time to take the fight. Also coming off a UFC 308 knockout win, Sara Magomedov has become an interesting topic. We told you in the last video that Sara has announced his next fight will be in February at UFC Saudi Arabia. After that, Michael Venom Page and Paulo Costa both want a piece of Sara Bullet Magomedov. MVP says he would like to go up to 185 and fight Sara Magomedov in Saudi Arabia, while Costa also asked his fans if they really want him to see against Sara Magomedov. Dos Anjos, who fought in the prelims of UFC 308, has confirmed he suffered a torn ACL in his UFC 308 defeat to Geoff Neal and will undergo surgery in the coming days. Bruno Silva, who also lost his fight at UFC 308 prelims, opens up on mental health issues. He says he's mentally not stable and will be taking a break from fighting. Dan Moreno has secured his own pair of custom shorts ahead of his fight with Amir Albazi at UFC Edmonton. He is really embracing his time in Edmonton and says he is confident after a long layoff ahead of his main event against Amir Albazi. Honest, Amir Albazi also talks to the media where he details the injury that almost ended his UFC career. He revealed that the doctors told him he was one punch away from being paralyzed. He says that now he is 100% healthy again and looks forward to putting on a show in the main event this Saturday at UFC Edmonton. The co-main event, Aaron Blackfield says their champ Valentina Shevchenko has lost her aura in the Grasso trilogy. Her opponent Rose Namajunas, on the other hand, admits it would be hard for her not to admire Valentina Shevchenko, but she would love to get the dream matchup with her. She plans to make her title statement against Aaron Blanchfield. Mike Lewis, also featured at UFC Edmonton, still has an issue with old foe Daniel Cormier. After going off on him, he says his wild post-fight interviews are over. He will be cleaning up his post-fight interviews because everyone at his kid's elementary school is asking him about his balls.
UFC have parted ways with these 7 fighters. Feige heavyweight prospect Robelis Jasmine, who went 1-2 in the UFC, number 10 ranked flyweight Mateusz Nicolau, who is 4-3 in the UFC, featherweight Daniel Pineda, who is 2-4-1 in the UFC, bantamweight Tamiris Vidal, who is 1-3 in the UFC, bantamweight Charalampos Grigoriou, who was 0-2 in the UFC, bantamweight Jesse Butler, who is 0-2 in the UFC, and bantamweight Vinicius Salvador, who is 0-3 in the UFC. Inaugural UFC Women's Featherweight Champion Germaine de Randamie has announced her retirement from MMA at the age of 40. The Irish lady has wins over Juliana Pena, Raquel Pennington, and Holly Holm. She tried to get one last fight this year, but all of the cards are full. Now let's talk about the new fights announcements. Rumors spread that Alexander Volkanovski vs Diego Lopez is in the works at UFC 312 headliner, but Volk's manager has told media that these rumors for an interim title in Sydney are not true. Even if the rumors are not true, I would love to see this one to decide who gets the next title shot. By the way, in confirmed fights, we have Adrian Janis' short notice return at UFC Tampa against Daniel Marcos, whose opponent had pulled out. Michael Johnson will also return on the same card to fight Ottman Azichar at UFC Tampa on December 14th. Zachary Reese will fight Cedric Dumas, and Carol Rosa will fight Aileen Paris at UFC 311 on January 18th. Outside of the MMA world, Danielle Calais seeks to reclaim the one women's atomweight submission grappling world title from rival Mesa Bastos on December 6 at One Fight Night 26. Boxing World also has some big announcements. Frank Warren's next Magnificent 7 show on December 7th in London is announced. Cards include Matt Pauls vs Denzel Bentley, Lawrence Akoli vs Hussein Muhammad, Sam Knox vs Ryan Walsh, Sol Dacres vs David Adeleye, Alois Jr. vs Lewis Ockford, Sean Knox vs Matthew Rennie, and P.S. Oliare vs opponent to be chosen. WBA's number 1 super bantamweight Murodjon Ahmadaliev will face number 13 Ricardo Espinoza Franco for the WBA interim super bantamweight belt on December 14 in Monaco, France. The WBA have now scheduled first bids for Imanta Stanionis vs Shahram Gyasov on Friday, November 18th. Fight ordered as a mandatory defense of Stanionis' WBA welterweight world title. The IBF scheduled first bids for Anthony Kakachi vs Eduardo Nunes for Kakachi's IBF super featherweight world title as mandatory defense on Thursday, November 7th. IBF have also scheduled first bids for Martin Bakoli vs Agit Kabail 2 as a final eliminator to determine the next mandatory challengers for Daniel Dubois' IBF heavyweight world title on Tuesday, November 5th. The IBF have also reaffirmed that Daniel Dubois can choose his next opponent as a voluntary defense if the Anthony Joshua rematch doesn't happen next. Here is the full list of contenders in the IBF top 15 he could fight. And Ben Shalom revealed that Canelo Alvarez vs Chris Eubank Jr. preliminary talks have now also restarted for the fight to potentially happen next. But Alvarez manager Eddie Reynoso has denied that and insisted that fight will never happen. Eubank had his chance to fight Canelo in September, and the only thing he did was complicate the negotiations. We told you in the last video that Regis's progress hinted at his retirement after his loss to Jack Catterall. Now via social media, he insists that he is not retiring from boxing following this defeat and instead has a goal to become champion again. Devin Haney replied to him by saying, "Regis, retire bro." And finally, the rules for the Mike Tyson vs Jake Paul November 15th fight are revealed. The bout is officially sanctioned as a professional fight where no headgear will be used and knockouts are permitted. Fighters will wear 14-ounce gloves and the fight will consist of a total of 8 2-minute rounds. Katie Taylor vs Amanda Serrano rematch, which is the co-headliner of Paul Tyson card, is set to take place at 138 pounds catch weight, Taylor revealed. Fight is for Taylor's undisputed super lightweight world titles. Boxing Kingdom reports that Katie Taylor will receive the largest payday in the history of women's boxing in excess of $6.1 million, but Amanda Serrano denies the reports and says that "mine purse is bigger LOL." The event promoter is Jake Paul's MVP promotion, so it's obvious Serrano's purse would be bigger. And that's all. We end today's video with Justin Gaethje getting knocked down by a body punch by his trainer. Watch it and then do whatever you want.